Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 18th. It's August. It's 2025. And all those things are debatable, but right now I don't care. Excuse me. I realize that I'm uploading late, but I'm at 7:30 p.m. right now, but I'm still in Oregon, and I'm heading up to Washington State. I've done my time in Oregon. I met 3 separate subscribers. I hit up Delilah, and she let me use her ranch for a couple of days because she was at her other house, but I've got the keys to Delilah's house, which is very cool. Delilah's very cool. So wasn't her husband, Gary. At any rate, I had to make this video even though it's late. The sun's going to be down in a half an hour because Agenda 2030 is happening big time. Big time, big time, big time. And people that could actually make a difference, people with massive YouTube channels, even some channels that are massive that are considered conspiratorial, they talk about conspiracies, but they never tie it together. They never say, like, it's happening now. They don't point that stuff out. They're all talking about Epstein like it's some new thing. All of us, the entire truth community, 12, 13, 14 years ago was talking about Epstein and children being abducted and abused. Because it's a thing. It's part of their power part of their power plan or whatever. Because think about it. Every one of these elites has literally made their money by stealing Amazon, Tesla, SpaceX, all got money from the US government. We're talking $30 to $50 billion a piece. Do you see what I'm saying? All from taxpayers. Did you vote for that? Right, because voting's not real. They do what they want and they're not stopping because now they're literally showing their true colors straight up. No two ways about it. There's no hiding anymore. This agenda is coming and it's crushing. And it's not coming, it's happening. And it started out in my home state, of course, because if it ain't Massachusetts turning its back on its citizens, it's California or any other one of the states in the middle, basically. You'll see what I'm saying.
And Americans.
Massachusetts Senate Bill S-2246 sets the stage for the government to not only track how many miles you're traveling, but potentially charge you for your miles traveled.
And is the state planning to track how much you drive? Well, Massachusetts has a mandate to drastically reduce its emissions, and a new bill to try to get us there has lit up social media with claims that lawmakers want to limit your driving. Well, tonight, Brandon Truitt took a trip in search of the truth.
The state passed a law a few years ago that requires them to get to zero emissions by 2050. That is a steep hill to climb. Lawmakers behind this proposed bill say it helps get them there while expanding transportation options. Critics simply disagree. If you're used to turning the key and strapping in, you're not alone. The state says about 70% of us drive to work or wherever we're going, and that means a lot of us are sitting in this. But there's a bill being considered by lawmakers on Beacon Hill that's getting some attention. Its purpose is to align the state's transportation plans with its mandates and goals for reducing emissions and vehicle miles traveled. But it's that last part that has some people concerned.
Ultimately, what this is about is control and limiting transportation. And if you do need to transport yourself, doing public transportation.
Paul Craney is the executive director of Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance and says they advocate for fiscal responsibility and transparency. Craney takes serious issue with the bill, saying it will limit how people get around the state.
Specifically, vehicles, cars and trucks. What they're trying to do is put mechanisms in place to limit mobility.
This bill does not do that. This bill doesn't impose restrictions on how much Massachusetts residents can drive, nor where they can drive.
Senate Majority Leader Cynthia Cream is the lead sponsor of the bill and says it's designed to increase transportation options. More walking, biking, and train options could mean more cars off the road.
It's crazy that these laws, and this is just one that I'm talking about right now. The next one's going to be water. But it's crazy they're talking about this, and this is all predicated off the back of climate change, carbon emissions, things that aren't real, things that they're making up. And something that dawned on me today, owning the weather by 2025, it's funny that how in the very beginning of this year, the weather has kicked up exponentially. Floods in Tennessee, floods in Texas, floods in Michigan, floods absolutely everywhere where floods don't happen. 1,000-year floods, 1,000-year floods, 1,000-year floods, and they're blaming it all on you and I driving and having any type of freedom. They're locking it down. They're passing the laws. They're making their moves. They're doing this. This is happening, and it's amazing to me how many people are not talking about this whatsoever at all. They're too worried about internet drama and things of that nature. It's phenomenal because you know what? There's no money in telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? Sell your soul, do as you said, and you'll get rewarded on this planet exponentially. You see what I'm saying? Money is the root of all evil. But it's astonishing
Your miles
to me.
traveled.
This bill, which is still in the process of getting passed, is designed to reduce how much we travel by private vehicles. In fact, they plan to make a council which will assess public transport options, land use policies, and will also give recommendations to make sure people stop driving as much as they do right now. Now, if you're wondering what they mean by land use policies, well, it basically calls for more dense housing developments. So instead of developing more suburbs, they're going to shove people into apartments. Of course, as far as recommendations go, the council can recommend anything to make it hard for us to drive. They can limit how much gas we're allowed every year, or they could just put some kind of carbon tax on us. And before any of you say it can't happen, folks, they just took away our right to sue Monsanto in 2 states.
After an amazing few days in D.C., it's extremely disappointing that today North Dakota signed into law the Pesticide Liability Shield. Absolutely awful news out of Georgia. Governor Kemp signed into law the Pesticide Liability Shield, and it will take effect in January 2026. This means if you live in the state of Georgia and you get sick from pesticide or chemical exposure for over 16,000 different chemicals, you can no longer sue the manufacturer.
A law is about to get passed in the U.S. Congress that will allow these companies to keep us in the dark about the fatal effects of their products. So don't just tell me that they can't take away our rights, because they sure can and will if we don't sound the alarm. Now, as for this vehicle travel bill, this won't stop with Massachusetts. If it's passed, you can bet that states like California are going to be right behind. And if you're wondering why this keeps happening, the answer is pretty simple. The people behind these projects have more money than we can possibly imagine. Don't forget that Bill Gates has already promised to spend most of his wealth to achieve these goals.
So using COVID, using lawyers, using the banking system, they have literally stripped away all the money and power from the people, and now they're flexing their muscles. You know what I mean? Now they are absolutely flexing. And remember this, all these people that became computer guys and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, these were all evil, angry little kids that didn't get along with others, so they started honing their craft on how they would get revenge on the world. That's exactly what this is. It's incredibly evil. Sell your soul, but you have to act as such. But let's jump over to the weather real quick, because Hurricane Erin is going to do some damage one way or the other, because this is exactly like Helene. Watch this.
That's an aircraft flown by NOAA and the U.S. Air Force, and as I'm sure you guessed already, they are flying inside the eye of Hurricane Erin. I wanted you to see this because that storm turned into a Category 5 hurricane around the same time as this flight, and the way it picked up is absolutely insane. In fact, in the history of the Atlantic, only a few storms have ever become so powerful in just 24 hours. The wind speed went up from 75 miles per hour to 160 miles per hour in a day, so you can understand that this is not a normal storm anymore. In fact, fact, it reminds me a lot of the two hurricanes that wreaked havoc in the US at the end of last year. Those were also categorized as once-in-a-century storms, and what's crazy is that another aircraft flown by NOAA made a similar flight just before Hurricane Helene tore through North Carolina. Now, so far, this new hurricane has created tropical storm conditions for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Oh my God, Ryan.
While all of this is happening, people have been reporting more and more clips of chemtrails in the skies over, guess where? North Carolina and Florida. I'm just worried that...
So I'm out here in Oregon visiting one of my subscribers, and this is a serious off-grid compound. Serious. Very, very serious. And I came outside and looked up today, and I realized that they were absolutely juking the sky from all angles. And it was really pissing me off that new truth YouTubers, the newer versions, are coming out and calling this cloud seeding. This is not cloud seeding at all, okay? This is weaponized weather run by the military and DARPA. Look how fast this guy's going. They're not seeding the clouds. They're filling the atmosphere with heavy metals. They're using frequencies to control and manipulate the weather. That's why certain places are dry as a bone and other places are getting hit with deluges of water that their ecosystems can't handle because it isn't natural at all. That's not cloud seeding. That's not sprinkling silver iodine into storm clouds to help it rain better over crops. This is the U.S. Air Force. This is DARPA. And probably Palantir and BlackRock now. But it's not cloud seeding. Stop saying that. They put that out there. Cloud seeding is benign compared to this. You see what I'm saying? Cloud seeding is a tool that can be used. Geoengineering is a weapon. Because off of the back of geoengineering, telling everybody that we're polluting the planet to the point where it's freaking out, is making it where they're passing laws where you can't drive. And you have to be on a social credit system, and you have to have a carbon tax, so forth and so on. These are all lies. All of them. But at the end of the day, this is not cloud seeding. I guess he just disappeared. There he is. At any rate. So remember years ago when I was telling you about this scumbag from Nestle that wanted to privatize water? And then suddenly the same scumbag was appointed to the World Economic Forum. Now they didn't just appoint this scumbag at the World Economic Forum, of course they had to throw in Larry Fink, the guy that runs BlackRock and Palantir and everything else. And if you look into Palantir and BlackRock, they own everything. I'm talking the military industrial complex. They own the White House. They own governments all around the world. They own everything. And now he's in charge, along with the scumbag from Nestle's, of the World Economic Forum. And then magically, all of a sudden, the guy that wanted to privatize water, he goes to the WEF, and then this happens.
Now, moving on, let's talk about this water tax that's going up all over the country at the same time. In Utah, for instance, they just approved an 11% increase to the water tax.
Stephen and Julie Kenyon are already on a fixed income, and this additional tax will be another hit to their wallet.
In Pittsburgh, they're hiking up the water bill by a staggering 33%.
St. Petersburg city leaders are moving forward with plans to raise utility rates, even as some residents complain that their current water bills just don't add up.
I went to the house and turned the water off, and we still got that $2,000 bill.
In places like San Diego, people are forced to pay up to $488 extra for water in the name of fixing pipes and other stuff.
Jenny Rose's latest water bill just jumped by $250, and this isn't a time when she can afford to throw any money down the drain.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, in a lot of counties, the water bill is not just going up this year, it's going to keep increasing for years and years to come. Just take DeKalb County in Georgia, which is home to about 760,000 people. Well, they just started a program that will increase the water and sewage bill by 10% every year until 2034. They say they're doing it to provide relief to low-income households, but the fact remains most people simply cannot deal with this extra financial burden. People are barely scraping by even after working multiple jobs.
Hey TikTok, I'm just on here wondering if anybody's feeling the same way I'm feeling. I'm from Illinois, and I feel like the gas prices and the electric bills and the prices of food is just so overwhelming anymore. Like, I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling like they're drowning and they can't get out. I work overtime, and I cannot get above water. I mean, I literally have no gas for next week. It was either that or get a few groceries to get by. I hit my local food pantries. I'm just wondering if anybody else feels like they're drowning. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day.
And this has been going on for quite some time now. In fact, some lawmakers even spoke up against this insane policy that's spreading in just about every state.
Water is a human right. We can't live without it. But far too often, our government treats it as just another product to be sold. In Michigan, the Great Lakes Water Authority voted to increase water rates by 5.9% and sewage rates by 4.5%. They approved these unaffordable increases despite unanimous and passionate public opposition, Mr. Speaker.
Now, of course, if you just dig a little bit, you'll find out that at the end of the day, all these policies are coming straight from the World Economic Forum.
Today, carbon pricing, ETSs, carbon taxes already cover about 25% of global emissions, right? We should actually look at scaling this, right, to cover all 100% of carbon emissions. And beyond carbon, let's think about other aspects of nature that are easier to quantify. We probably will not be able to quantify everything on day one, but what about water? Right? That's also quite possible for us to start integrating systematically into current trading carbon pricing mechanisms.
It's a review on the economics of water, and we will be looking at the value of water and considering different novel economic policy measures, of which one may be, for example, putting some form of price on water.
Now, I apologize if the audio's bad or whatever, but I'm making these videos off the back of my truck at a rest stop at 8 o'clock at night. You see what I'm saying? And I don't do this for money or fame, because my videos are, none of my platforms except Jailbreak are monetized. And Jailbreak, I started telling the truth on there. So guess what? channel's got no motion anymore. I do this because this is important. And everything we've been warning about is now exactly happening every time we turn around. Oh, we're going to tax you on the carbon. You can't travel in Massachusetts. Really? We're going to tax you on the water. This is insane. They're jacking up the water so much. Who are these people? Why are people just going along with this? Why does nobody seem to care whatsoever at all? You need to be aware of this and understand this, and do not be tricked. Don't be fooled. Do not be placated. I don't care what the gold and silver in the street. Get your money out of the bank, because they're going to take all of your money. They're going to take your savings. They're going to take your checking. They're going to take your 401k. They're going to take your IRA. Get it into gold. Get it into your hand. So at least, at the very least, if you want to endure to the end, you have something to do so. Or don't. Wait for the rapture, which isn't real, it isn't biblically sound, and it's not coming. You have to endure to the end. And I'll tell you what, the end is coming very soon, because it started quite a while ago, and people are only starting to somewhat kind of see things happening. But guess what? It's a little too late. You know why they're building all these robots? To fight us. It's going to be these billionaires against everybody else once everything becomes so flagrantly, blatantly obvious that it's either fight or die, one of the two. That's why they built all these robots. You see what I'm saying? I'm a little pissed off, and I've been driving for a good majority of the day, so I had to put this video out as soon as I possibly could. The guy's clip that I'm using, he does a decent video, but his channel's called Hustle. He found the conspiracy genre, and he's just talking about it like, isn't this odd? Isn't this weird? No, it's not odd or weird. It's an agenda, and they're ticking all the boxes right before our eyes. Be ready. Or don't. You can't say you haven't been warned. I'm out.